sports.
We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
The road trip continues as it wraps up here in Arizona before heading off to St. Louis with a day off tomorrow. But first, the last of a three-game set. The Marlins and the Diamondbacks from Chase Field. Afternoon action here. A very hot day, so yes, the roof will be closed with temperatures north of 100 degrees. But inside the broadcast booth, it's nice and cool. Paul Severino and Todd Hollins. We're the cool ones, Holly. Come on now, let's go. Jeez, you got to walk them through everything. No, first two games of this series have not gone the Marlins' way, trying to salvage the last of this three-game set.
Well, and that's right. Short-term memory. They've had a lot of practice of that this year, and you certainly like to see him come out today. We've given you countless examples this year where they've played some baseball, things didn't go their way, and they come out and they play a great game at the end of a series. Today could possibly be that day. You see the numbers in this series. Obviously, 2 wins for the Diamondbacks. The 8 home runs really stands out, but how about this? The Marlins really haven't had a lead in this series. It's as simple as that.
Right, and a couple of the home runs in this series on each side by some struggling hitters. Let's start with Paul Goldschmidt. Again, a guy who's always in the mix for a National League MVP. He's been right up there in the top 2 or 3 the last number of seasons. Been struggling this season, but he did hit a home run.
Now, the Diamondbacks are looking for any kind of evidence that will allow them to believe that their perennial MVP candidate is back, and I think the home run last night certainly gets people excited around here. Now, one thing that stands out to me, all season long he's been hitting lefties. In fact, he's got great numbers against the lefties, and he's got some home runs. One thing which is going to be a test for him today is going to be how he handles the righties. He's hitting well below 200 with no power and really no run production against the right-handed pitchers.
Yeah, a home run on his bobblehead night and a home run on a quote-unquote off day for Lewis Brinson. Didn't get the start last night, but came in and got the first pinch hit home run of his career. And for a guy, again, who has been scuffling, this had to feel good.
It certainly did. Got to pitch up. I talk about this all the time. As a hitter, when you get a mistake, you got to do something with that mistake. Whether it's a pinch hit, whether it's a start, he had a great vibe. I said it may be the greatest thing that we took out of yesterday is that Brinson walks into that situation. Again, this wasn't a start. It was a late pinch hit, not a whole lot of pressure in that situation. Put together a good quality at bat. You hope that it carries into today's ballgame.
And he is back in the starting lineup today as we wrap up this 3-game series in Arizona. We step aside, but when we come back, we're going to check in with Jessica Blaylock, who's been hiking mountains the last few days in the heat here in Arizona. But which is worse, Arizona or Florida? We ask next.
Degrees. The roof was open at Chase Field.
Outside to Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, temperatures today in Phoenix reaching about 108 degrees. The roof was open at Chase Field until about 10:30 this morning. So that begs the question, how do you cool off the ballpark for first pitch? Well, I have the answer. It lies in the building right behind me. There are a ton of blocks of ice that are built up overnight. They surround pipes. Pipes filter freezing cold water into Chase Field, and then air runs over those pipes to cool off the building. The Diamondbacks can cool Chase Field by about 30 degrees in less than 3 hours. It costs about $27 million a year to run the utilities here at Chase Field. About 80% of that comes down to electricity and air conditioning. So that's how they are going to get the ballpark cool today for this series finale between the Marlins and the Diamondbacks. Coming up next, it is first pitch in this series finale. Marlins trying to get into the win column before they head to St. Louis for a day off in a 3-game series against the Cardinals. Paul Severino and Todd Hollandsworth will have the call for you next.
By Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason, Huba WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota, let's go places. Another hot day in the desert. Fortunately, the roof is closed here at Chase Field as Matt Cook gets the ball for the Arizona Diamondbacks, as they are looking for the sweep of this 3-game series. Meanwhile, the Marlins looking to salvage the last game and snap a 5-game skid. Here is the starting lineup today, presented to you by Southwest. Starlin Castro again in that top spot. JT Realmuto, the only starter with an average over 300, has been red hot, starting to and continuing to even make a case for the All-Star game coming up in Washington, D.C. in the middle of July. Again, Lewis Brinson with the home run last night, back in the lineup. JT Riddle gets the day off, and Miguel Rojas is at short. It is Matt Cook on the bump today for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He has had some good and some bad starts, but this is his 9th of the year.
Well, he's actually making his 11th career start, so he hasn't been doing this a whole long time, and not a lot. 7th career start here at Chase Field. He's got some decent numbers, I think, on the whole. You see the earned run average, 4.31, 3.3 record. Marlins have never faced Cook. 816 OPS against. What does that tell you? A pretty good ball player. is the equivalent of what he's going up against today.
It's his third full season in the Diamondbacks organization. Came over from the Mets back in 2015, and he will face Starlin Castro to lead things off. Ready for the last game of this 3-game series, and underway with a called strike. Castro 2 for 5, couple of doubles in last night's ball game. 7 for 23 on the road trip with 3 doubles, a home run and 3 RBIs, and came oh so close to a home run in last night's ball game. Drove one out to right center field, hit off the top of the wall to many. It looked like it hit a green box beyond the wall and then came back into play. The umpires here got together. It was a crew chief review. Replay officials in New York saw no convincing evidence that it hit that green box out there, which would have meant a home run. So they said that's a 2-base hit for Castro.
Well, for Cook, a 4-seam fastball, cutter, slider change. That's the arsenal.
Oh, right back up the middle.
Well, stayed in the same spot for all 4 pitches. Nice adjustment by Starlin Castro to start this game. Looking out away, able to line one back through the middle.
And now JT Realmuto. 1 for 5 last night, 4 for 19 on the trip. Chop to the left side, dug out at second base, and the relay throw to first not in time, as JT is going to reach on the fielder's choice.
Let's give you the AutoNation scouting report for Cook in this afternoon's ball game. I already mentioned the arsenal. 4-seam fastball, cutter, slider, change. Let me break it down for you. Road warrior, well, he's been good on the road. 2.03 ERA, not here at Chase Field. 5.19, 39 hits allowed in 34 innings. 290. It's the batting average against. Now, a bit of a launching pad. That's part of his problem here. The reason I get to it is we've seen the 8 home runs for the Diamondbacks in this series. Well, he's given up 9 home runs this season. All 9 have come here at Chase Field, so keep your eye out for that. And reverse splits. How about it? We've seen Starlin Castro line one to center field already. These are some really alarming numbers. Left-handed batters against the fastball, and the right-handed batters 474 and 455 against his 4-seam fastball and cutter. Lefties 154, 217. On the season, lefties hitting only $188, righties 350. There you go. Those are the splits. Here's the other thing you want to know. All 9 home runs he's given up this season have come on the fastball or the cut fastball.
Justin Bour 1 for 4 last night, 6 for 23 with a couple of runs and a couple of doubles on this road trip. Realmuto away from first after reaching on the fielder's choice. The 0-2 poked down the left field line, and that one is going to fall foul.
Yeah, a little tailing action, about a foot foul down the left field line. Give you the defense for the Diamondbacks this afternoon. Peralta gets the start in left field. Dyson in center, Owings in right. Lamb back in at third base. Ahmed at short. Descalzo, Goldschmidt, Murphy. Boy, he has been a big bopper behind the plate. The Diamondbacks. Cook on the mound.
The Diamondbacks carry 3 catchers. Alex Avila's been scuffling. Jeff Mathis is here, but he's really the caddy for Zach Greinke. So Mathis got the start last night, but John Ryan Murphy has been on fire as of late. And they've really needed him with this Diamondbacks offense outside the last week or so. It hasn't just been this series. Things kind of started to come to life for them offensively when the Reds were in town prior to the Marlins. But boy, oh boy, Murphy is on a roll right now. Certainly dive into his numbers when he's at the plate, but you can see some light at the end of the tunnel for this offense for skipper Torey Lovullo. Second year as their manager, was the National League Manager of the Year last year. A wild card. They got past the Rockies, but were swept by the Dodgers in the division series. Grounded to the right side. 1, 2. Although Don Mattingly's saying hold on 1 second just to get a better look as to whether or not Bohr beat it out at first base. As it stands now, it was a 4-6-3 double play, and they are going to say no challenge. So the double play ends it. We'll see Dan Straley when we come back. Also is going to lead things off for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Here is the rest of their lineup, presented to you by Southwest. Again, Paul Goldschmidt with the home run last night right down the left field line, able to tuck it in behind the foul pole. Just his second home run at Chase Field this year. But there have been a lot of home runs by this Diamondbacks club so far in this series, so Dan Straley going to try to keep them in the yard and keep them off the scoreboard.
Dan Straley making his 7th start of the season, 5th on the road, 3.69 ERA. He had a fantastic May, 2.93, 2-1 record. He's really dominated the righties. Keep your eye on the lefties, though. That's the one spot he's struggled, I suppose, consistently with this year. In his last start, a little inconsistent. He had that 3-run first inning against the Padres. Really settled down until the 6th. Ended up giving up a big home run to Reyes, so the Padres kind of changed the tides in that game. 2 career starts versus the Diamondbacks, 1-0 with a 2.25.
And a ball and 2 strikes to Daniel Descalso. 1 for 3 with a home run in the series. 5 for 11. Couple of home runs on the homestand. Again, the Reds were in town before the Marlins got here. Next stop on this road trip for the Marlins is St. Louis, where we have an eye on the Cardinals right now, and not just because they're the next opponent, but because Michael Wacha is currently throwing a no-hitter, as is Dan Straley. 1 batter through the game, a strikeout.
How about Straley dialing it up already? The secondary pitch is out and working. 5 pitches into this, we see 2 great sliders in this at bat, including this one. How about it? Descalso gave up on it. I mentioned the lefties. Those are the 2 guys in the lineup, Descalso and Peralta. You got to keep your eyes on them. Now, this Diamondbacks team has struggled against righties. They're 4 games under 500. For Dan Straley, those 2 lefties are really the biggest concern.
So in steps Paul Goldschmidt. Takes upstairs, 2 balls and no strikes. 2 for 7 in the series. His first 2 home runs on this homestand. He's yet to get a hit against Dan Straley in 6 trips as he takes a called strike. Last 8 games for Goldschmidt. The bat again starting to come to life. Slash line of 290, 371, 677. 3 home runs, 7 RBIs in that span. And what we were kind of had an eye on coming into the series was what he had done in the 23 games before this little stretch, where he was hitting 110. This one hit a mile up in the air. Drifting back into shallow left is Miguel Rojas, who will make the play for out number 2.
Here's the Marlins defensively for this afternoon's game. Dietrich gets the start left. Brinson back in center field. Maven in right. Anderson gets the start at third base this afternoon. Rojas, Castro, Bohr, JT behind the plate. Day off tomorrow. Straley on the mound. Dan has got some pretty obvious splits here through 6 complete starts. Lefties hitting 280 with 3 homers. The righties 146 with 3 home runs. He has dominated the righties for the most part.
Jake Lamb's got a home run in the series as he takes upstairs. A ball and 1 strike.
Well, for Dan, traditionally you're going to see the fastball, changeup, and slider combination. You see a few more changeups than sliders to the lefties and a few more sliders than changeups to the righties.
And just a friendly reminder, after the Marlins Live postgame show today, you can catch Unmasked, a little profile, a premiere profile of the catcher JT Realmuto, taken him back through the years before he was a all-star caliber catcher at the big league level. And that's coming up after Marlins Live postgame show, the finale of this 3-game series later on this afternoon, or early evening as it were, on the East Coast. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Lamb. And Straley with that first walk, already more than the walks that he had issued in his last start against the San Diego Padres. That'll bring up John Ryan Murphy. Yeah, Holly mentioned the start for Straley in San Diego. Even Don Mattingly after the game said he really hung in there, kind of bookended that start with the runs, the 3 in the first on 4 hits, and then the 2-run home run. That was the last batter that he was going to face. That decision had already been made, but it was in between where we have seen just how sharp Dan Straley has been. Again, seemingly progressively better as he's gone along since coming off the disabled list in late April.
Yeah, 3 consecutive base hits started that Padres game. Then he settled in. They would eventually come in to score. But again, the Padres playing with the lead. Dan settled in. Innings 2 through 5. Outstanding. 1 batter over the minimum. 2 through 5. And that 6th inning. The unfortunate part is that sometimes this happens when you're struggling as a team. The Marlins had just regained the lead. Went back out for that 6th inning, and Reyes ends up with that big home run on the slider. Lead gone.
Yeah, that's kind of been the issue with this little run here that the Marlins are on right now. They've lost 5 in a row, 8 of 9. And it seems like the innings that they do score runs feel like they give the runs right back, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever the case might be, but they haven't really had that shutdown inning, you feel.
Well, they're playing with a great deal of pressure. They're completely aware of the losing, but what ends up happening, and you talk about the few times that you have the lead, you squeeze them a little too tight because they're precious. And I think what ends up happening in baseball terminology, you try a little too hard with a few spots on this trip where they've gotten the lead.
John Ryan Murphy with the pop up. This is going to be Rojas for the final out. Straley strands 1 through 1 scoreless. Reno, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you. A scoreless game as Don Mattingly and crew look on. Brian Anderson, Derek Dietrich, and Cameron Maben due up against Matt Cook in this inning. Anderson on a nice run the last 19 games, hitting .388 with 10 runs scored. He leads all rookies in hits and runs. And back at third base today. Day off for JT Riddle moves Miguel Rojas from third to short. The first pitch from Cook is in there for a called strike.
Well, 2 for 3 in yesterday's ball game. In a lot of ways was the offense until the Brinson home run. RBI triple, a walk. As I said, 2 hits. Both hits went the other way. I continue to be impressed with this young man's approach, executing a game plan. Almost visualized, like as a former hitter, what I think they're going to see each and every day. And then to watch Brian Anderson step in the box and thinking, okay, if I was right-handed, this is what I would look to do. He does it.
This one driven out to center field. Back is Dyson. He's going to have to play this one off the wall. The throw in from center, not in time, and it's a leadoff double for Brian Anderson.
Yeah, a little something like that. 14th double of the season. I love it when you get up on the soapbox and then they back you up by banging a breaking ball off the center field wall. That's right. Nice balance. Good swing. I don't think the approach has changed. Told you, Cook. Fastball, cut fastball. He's been hit hard by righties. And Anderson did not try to pull that breaking ball. Stayed inside. Drove it off the center field wall.
And now Derek Dietrich. Takes ball 1 low. 0 for 4 last night and snapped an 11-game on base streak. But that 0 for last night on the heels of back-to-back 3-hit games. And a ground ball to second base. That will move Anderson to third. A productive out number 1.
Well, and if there ever was a productive out, I'll tell you what, that may be the biggest one. As we've mentioned throughout this series, there has been no lead for the Marlins. They've got to get Anderson home here and get a lead. The next all-you-can-eat Saturday is June 9th when the Marlins take on the Padres. Starting at just $30, you'll get a ticket to the game, unlimited Nathan's, hot dogs, popcorn, peanuts, nachos, and Pepsi soft drinks or Aquafina waters. Purchase your tickets for All You Can Eat Saturdays at marlins.com/AYCE.
Now Cameron Maben with the infield in about halfway. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. Maben takes outside. He walked as a pinch hitter last night. 3 for 11, couple of RBIs on the road trip. Situation where the Marlins can get a run on an out and therefore get a lead. This one is slashed down the right field line, 1-1.
Yeah, a little bit more of a challenge. The Diamondbacks playing just a little bit past in. Most of them about 2-3 steps off the infield grass. Kind of playing it halfway, almost like a read. There you go. There's a good look. All of them on the dirt, but close to the cut. Oh, good job by Maben. That's one pitch that Cook continues to work towards, that cut fastball. That's what he wants to get him to swing at.
Maben 8 for 33. That's a .242 batting average with runners in scoring position. But again, a fly ball should give the Marlins the lead. Instead, grounds one to third. And there are 2 outs. Here's Miguel Rojas. 1 for 8 in the series, 1 for 4 last night. Infield back with 2 outs, and the first pitch is in there for a called strike. Home plate umpire today is Tom Woodring. Will Little is over at first base. The crew chief Ted Barrett is at second, and Kerwin Danley is at third. The 0-1 to Rojas is low, 1-1. Marlins have had opportunities in this series. They were 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position last night. 9 left on base. 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position in the series, with 18 men left on base.
Rojas has been outstanding in these situations. 300 this season with runners in scoring position. Got 18 RBIs. Oh, with 2 strikes, we know what he likes to do. He thinks middle away.
The 4th lowest strikeout rate in the National League. Trying to keep this at bat going here. They'll take low in the dirt, 2-2.
Cook really seems to me to be a guy that you want to stick to your game plan with. His breaking ball, it's sharp and it's late. It's not a swing at pitch. He's trying to get you to chase it. He hasn't thrown it for a strike yet, other than one where he backed off a little bit to Anderson and he scorched it to center. Stay with that game plan of middle away. You might get something to hit.
Anderson led off the inning by driving one off the center field wall. Moved over to third on a ground ball. But now 90 feet away with 2 outs. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Marlins come up empty here in the second. Still scoreless. Cast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. The first pitch to David Peralta in there for a called strike. Peralta, Owings, and Ahmed here in the bottom of the second inning against Dan Straley. Home runs in back-to-back games for David Peralta, 3 for 7 in the series. First time he's connected on home runs in back-to-back games since last August. Mentioned the walk that Straley issued in the first inning, and that it was more than he had given up in his last start. He didn't walk a batter against San Diego. That snapped a career-long streak of 7 consecutive starts in which he had issued 3 or more walks. Count now full to Peralta.
Straley continues to stay above the hands against Peralta.
Straley deals the 8th pitch of the at-bat, and this one is in the air out to Dietrich in left. Drifts toward the line a few steps, and there is one away. Jose Urena and Carlos Martinez off the disabled list. That game can be seen on FS1 on Tuesday, the opener of a 3-game set in St. Louis. A day off tomorrow, and then Tuesday night on FS1. Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon, Holly and I are back to work as Jose Urena still in search of win number 1 on the season. So close in his last outing against the Padres. That was the 9th inning in which the infield single and error led to 2 runs, and the Padres won the game. And that's kind of been, again, what we were talking about a little while ago has been the theme here for the Marlins, is that let's just say they've scored an early run. They haven't been able to add on later. If they have fallen behind early, they haven't been able to get back into games. That's kind of the rut that they are in right now. The 0-2 to Chris Owings. Out to center field. Brinson back toward the track. Has room. And there are 2 away. All right, well, it's time for the big story. Let's go out to St. Louis, where Michael Wacha, no hits allowed through 8, and then he gives up the base hit to Colin Moran. At least it was a clean single, right? I mean, that's what you'd hate to see something like that, but that was a line drive base hit, 111 pitches, as Wacha was dealing this afternoon. That game's still in progress right now, 2 outs in the 9th inning in St. Louis. Again, the next stop on our road trip.
Yeah, Wacha pitched from out in front all game long. Marcell Ozuna, after hitting home run number 100 in yesterday's ballgame, hit 101 in the first inning, a grand slam. So Wacha had a 4-run lead early.
Can do a lot for a pitcher. Settle him down. Cardinals have played some good baseball as of late. In that very fun National League Central. 31-25 at the moment, on the doorstep of another victory. The Cubs taking on the New York Mets today, as this one is chopped to Rojas. And we step aside here in Arizona, a 1-2-3 second for Straley. In this last of a three-game series, time for the Toyota Inside Look. The Diamondbacks, when they don't hit any home runs, they are 7-18. When they hit one home run, they're 8-6. When they really cash in on the long ball, they are 15-3. Again, this is an offense that historically, the last few years, has been a very potent group. And they were in April. They were 21-8 a day into May. They got off to a 21-8 start. Then they went in a little bit of a skid, but as of late, things have turned around. The Diamondbacks have won 4 of 5. Mentioned the home runs. They have 14 in their last 6 games. They had 14 in their previous 20 games.
Now, their run production in so many ways is tied to the long ball, as is many teams, not only in the National League, but throughout Major League Baseball. I think it's upwards of 45% of their total runs byproduct of the long ball.
No swing, says the first base umpire, Will Little. Speaking of home runs, Lewis Brinson had one last night. Didn't get the start. He came in to pinch hit in the 9th inning and hit one to dead center field.
A great swing off the bench last night. Watch the front shoulder and the head stay down. Stayed through it. Looked like that was almost a game plan. Go back through the middle, the big part of the field. That's where you start to find some love, some hits out there.
He strikes out for the first out here in the 3rd.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and go and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Well, again, that's the thing about Brinson is, and again, the struggles have been well documented. We all know it. We see, as he can too, the batting average is not where he would like it to be, but there have been certainly some bright spots along the way. Don Mattingly has talked very openly in the last few weeks about liking where he has seen the progress go with that young man, whether it's better swings, better at bats, a combination of both, an attitude despite the struggles. He has certainly talked him up, and to see him connect on the home run last night, it had to feel good. You go back a few weeks in Atlanta, right? He came up in a big spot. I said earlier in that at bat, I said he could really use a hit right here. He came through with the grand slam, and it's just about building on those moments, to have a few of those moments kind of start to snowball a little bit and get himself onto a roll as Straley strikes out for the 2nd out here in the 3rd.
And 3 consecutive strikeouts for Cook. Yeah, it's pretty plain and simple. Brinson needs more victories, personal victories throughout the course of a baseball game. That's really what it comes down to. I think that will bring the smile back more consistently. Well, let's be honest. It's been an elongated, somewhat long struggle. Simply said. The victories each day, I think, will motivate him the following day. That's why I mentioned, coming into today, playing off the home run from yesterday. I know that, throughout baseball, there's varying opinions on what we define as momentum. Somebody will tell you momentum is defined by tomorrow's starting pitcher. One person will say to you, meaning you may score 10 runs one day and you may get no hit the next.
No hits in this inning for the Marlins as Cook goes 1-2-3, still scoreless.
degrees outside, but inside the ballpark, it is nice and cool. Hey, if you need another way to beat the Phoenix Heat, you can hang out at the pool at Chase Field. It's one of only 2 ballparks in Major League Baseball that has a pool. The other is, of course, that's right, Marlins Park. So guys, I think I'm gonna hang out here at the pool because to me, nothing says summertime like baseball and pool parties.
It's totally unfair. That's all I'm going to say. Totally unfair. You had a milkshake. You didn't bring any up to us in New York. As Starlin Castro makes a nice play to take a hit away from Gerard Dyson, and now you're hanging out by the pool. That's just not cool. Another look here at the play by Castro.
You got to take into consideration the speed of Dyson. Nice job by Starlin, not only to get to the baseball, but to finish with a strong throw to first. That's where this play starts to accelerate. And the ball's got to beat him, and it does. Well done.
So now Straley faces his counterpart, Matt Cook, who takes a called strike. How much do the Marlins need a good start, a lengthy start, a competitive start, whatever word you want to use, from Dan Straley today, given how their starting rotation has gone the last few days? And I would say one turn through, it's been good.
You're kind of beating the drum, in my personal opinion. Listen, when a team starts to struggle, you focus on what you need to fix, and I think that's really what it is. I think you go into today, much like yesterday, you think, all right, Caleb Smith's going to be great. Why? Because he has been great. The starting pitching has been great, so why wouldn't it continue to be great? For Dan Straley, go out and do what you've done. The expectation is he'll give him a chance to win a baseball game. That's been the theme through a lot of this. Now you've had some bullpen issues and you had some offense issues. That's what you've got to fix. So far for me, the biggest moment in this ball game is the missed opportunity in the second inning. Leadoff double by Anderson. You don't get him across the plate.
One was outside to Daniel Descalso. Descalso struck out looking back in the first. Couple of strikeouts today for Dan Straley, with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Just off the edge. Again, the Marlins have gone to their pen quite a bit, and quite a bit early in the last few days. Harlan Garcia has been optioned to AAA New Orleans. Drew Shinsky has been called up from the Baby Cakes. And again, for Garcia, an effort to manage his innings. Kind of took him out of the starting rotation a few weeks back, but it's been really, as Don Mattingly said, an issue of kind of routine. He's gotten out of his routine as they want to keep him as a starter. And by going into the bullpen, yes, you manage the innings, but it's not the every 5th day. I'm going to pitch here, there, wherever. And listen, we've seen the last few outings for him out of the bullpen. He's given up a lot of home runs, some missed spots. And again, Don Mattingly thought that they're just not doing him justice in the role that he's currently in.
He needs to get in the groove again. It's simply put, the 4.41 ERA. I think that if you were to just walk into that, you say, okay, well, maybe that's a little high after, what we would have expected from what you saw last year. But the problem you have is the story that's attached to it. He was absolutely brilliant to start, almost hitless. Unhittable is the right way to put it.
Right.
And then hittable, very hittable, incredibly hittable, and to the point where you need to get Harlan back to a spot where his fastball isn't being such a factor. His fastball command was what was leading to the great success he had. His fastball command has been gone his last, 6 or 7 appearances, whether it's out of the bullpen or whether it was in the rotation. He's got to get that back.
So he will be down in AAA, where, as the skipper said today, he can continue to prepare to be a starter. A strike to Paul Goldschmidt, 0-2. Goldschmidt popped up into shallow left field back in the 1st inning. No balls and 2 strikes with Descalso off of first, and he got peace. Driven out to right center field. Maben is there to make the catch. Well hit, but a few steps to the right. Oh, good. She's still working hard. Marlins Live post-game show. We take a close look at JT Realmuto unmasked. All the way the journey from childhood to all-star caliber catcher. And again, coming up after the post-game show today. Of course, giving back in the Miami community, going to schools a few weeks back, Think Tank Week. And he leads things off here in the 4th inning. It takes ball 1 outside. After JT is JB and then Brian Anderson. He bought my coffee today.
JT did?
Yes, he did. How about that? Right? You want me to humanize the players? That's exactly what I'm doing. We were at Starbucks across from the hotel. I was standing behind him, minding my own business. Didn't want to, bug him. He's got his game face on. Bought my coffee. And then popped up for the first out in the 4th.
Generous individual.
He absolutely is. As you have done many times as well. Bought my coffee.
JT's that kind of guy, no doubt about it.
Right. But that will be great to see after the game today. Again, it's more than just the baseball with him. It's the giving back in the community, again going to the schools, as a lot of different Marlins and Marlins personnel did in the last few weeks. So that's coming up after our post-game coverage here from the desert.
Well, you know what time of year it is, don't you?
What's that? Summer vacation?
No.
Oh,
it's a good one though. You're not wrong with that. It's time to start voting for all-stars.
It's a good point.
And every Marlins fan that I know, I'm getting up on my soapbox and telling them all to vote for JT.
I would tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah, it always felt like, and I experienced a little bit of this last year. Listen, when you're one of the best teams in baseball, you always get the most attention. It's just the way that it works. And when your record's kind of down in the dumps, you gotta get out and vote, and you gotta promote your players.
And you could do it plenty. I think it's 35 times a day.
Well, my goal is to bring it up 35 times between now and the time that it stops, that we tell everybody how good JT Realmuto has been playing and that he deserves to be starting at the All-Star game. Now, hopefully he'll back it up with a real strong June. Make our jobs a little easier.
Agree.
But that's where it goes. I mean, listen, numerically, statistically, wherever you want to go with this, he's out in front of everybody just about every way you look at it. But I think if you go around the country, people naturally say, well, wait a minute, Buster Posey, right? or Yadier Molina, right? I mean, because that's the way it's been for the last, I don't know, 5-7 years. Well, somebody else is in the conversation now.
It was a few years ago. I think it was after the Royals. And there you go. You can go on and vote as this one is lined out to center field. Dyson for out number 2. Take a trip to 1993 as the Marlins celebrate their 25th anniversary. Join us the weekend of June 8th through the 10th with some of your favorite World Series champs, throwback moments, giveaways, and much more. And rep your teal as the Marlins take on the Padres in our throwback jerseys. Visit marlins.com/25. On social media now, there are some really cool little tidbits that I've seen. Guys probably did it during the spring, but wearing current players wearing the old teal Florida hats and Florida jerseys, of which there will be plenty of them on display in about a week's time when the Marlins are back home after this road trip concludes. There's a softball game on Sunday before the finale against the Padres. A celebrity softball game. There's a big ceremony on Saturday. And all of that, the ceremony, the softball game, and of course the games themselves, can be seen on Fox Sports Florida. So, and all of the other programming around it as well. As Anderson grounds to second to end the top of the 4th inning. Still scoreless here at Chase Field. Is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches, and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by the Lincoln Spring Sales Event. Drive in the spring in a new Lincoln. There's Randy Johnson, Special Assistant to the President and CEO here of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, a co-World Series MVP along with Curt Schilling in 2001. Second on the strikeout list. Second to Nolan Ryan. You faced him, right? Are the stories of the intimidation true?
Never faced him.
Really?
Nope. Faced him in slow pitch softball. That was it. Took him deep.
Still not intimidating, I guess. All right, there's your answer.
You heard what I said, right? Slow pitch softball.
Doesn't matter.
No, I never. Now, I did face him in spring training. That's not entirely true. So, I mean, I did. You know, the ball just gets up on top. I mean, intimidated or not, you're just trying to pick up the baseball. At the point in my career where I was when I faced him, I think I was a little past it. Meaning, if I'd have faced him a little earlier in my career, my jaw would have hit the ground.
Right.
But again, spring training, and then, as I said, I took him deep in slow pitch softball.
Nice.
Get to carry that around for the rest of my life.
I homered off the Hall
Did you notice how quickly it came out right when you asked me? Yeah, I didn't know where you were going. But there you go.
There's a strikeout of Jake Lamb. That's the third.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
3 strikeouts through 3 1/3 for Dan Straley, and now he'll face John Ryan Murphy, who has 8 home runs and 17 RBIs this season, already career highs. His previous marks: 3 homers, 14 RBIs back in 2015. That's when he was a backup catcher with the New York Yankees. Then moved to the Minnesota Twins before ultimately landing in Arizona, and now making the most of his opportunities as one of the 3 catchers on this Diamondbacks roster right now. Again, Jeff Mathis, the essentially the personal catcher for Zach Greinke, who started last night. Alex Avila signed to a 2-year deal, but he's been scuffling, and Murphy's been picking up the slack offensively.
At this stage of the game, as we all know, Paul, it's about the numbers. You produce this time of year, you get more playing time, and Torey Lovullo said as much.
Coming up on Wednesday, before the second game of the 3-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals, a special Twitter Wednesday. Twitter and email Wednesday. Wei Yin Chen, Jack Flaherty, the 2 starting pitchers, as Craig and Nelly back in studio in Florida, as that one is into the seats. And the hashtag that day was going to be Marlins 25, as we'll be closing in on the anniversary weekend. So have those emails and tweets coming on a email and Twitter Wednesday. It's presented to you by your South Florida Honda dealers. There's Craig and Nelly talking right now about how they're likely going to slash our tires after yesterday, when we were just having some good-natured ribbing on the foul ball catch attempts. I'm guessing that's what it's about. It could be about the strikeout. I don't know.
Well, a fantastic breaking ball from Dan Straley. Boy, he came out and showed it early this afternoon, and he has used it when needed. It has been devastating. Great slider there.
2 outs for David Peralta, who swings and misses. Peralta flew out to Dietrich in the 2nd inning. It's been nice to have the whole band out on the trip here. Craig, Nelly, they're here. They're out in the press box to our right, and the reason why I said they were going to slash our tires, of which I was joking, ladies and gentlemen, as Peralta fouls this one away, was because last night there was a foul ball that went in pretty hot into the press box right to Craig's right. He was on the phone, had a little fun back and forth. There was some Twitter chatter, which was good-natured, about me getting all over Craigers. Lined out to Brinson in center field. And that one's going to go over his head, and to second base goes Peralta. It's going to be a double for Peralta.
Yeah, this ball hit hard. Brinson did everything right in his pursuit of the baseball, and then something happened there at the end. You see him almost slowing down, like he's under control, ready to make the catch, and the ball maybe hits so hard, accelerates over the top of the glove. Which, if you ask Brinson, he'll tell you he should have had it. He did everything right to make this catch. Good break, good read. Instead of catching it out in front, though, it almost looked like the ball maybe had just enough tailing action off the bat of Peralta, a lefty, that took the ball over his head. You see him reach there at the last second, kind of back.
So now with 1 on and 2 out, here's Chris Owings, who flew out to Brinson in the 2nd inning. Straley up to 66 pitches. He's got 4 strikeouts and the 2 walks.
Be careful. Owings 7 home runs against right-handed pitchers this year.
Straley set for the 2-1 pitch. This one lined out to Dietrich, who will make the catch. Good contact off the bat of Owings, but we're scoreless through 4. Ball game, a low-scoring affair. It's time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Ryan Lilly, last 2 starts, 13 innings, no walks, and 8 strikeouts. A 5th-round pick in 2017 out of UC Riverside. His minor league career, a 2.38 ERA in 22 games.
Great stuff on this little hot stretch. Oh my, look out. Thank goodness for nets. Wow. That may be the greatest example of thank you for nets I've seen all season. That had to be 25 feet above the Marlins dugout. As impressive as the netting was, how about the bat toss? Wow, watch this. See if you can follow it. He even lost his thumb guard.
Everything fell off there.
And that hit, that's got to be a good 25 feet up, isn't it? There you go.
Wow. Yeah, that just helicoptering into the netting, thankfully. Lined into center field, and that's going to fall in for a base hit.
Not to be denied. There you go. Thumb guard went flying off, everything.
Right fielder, Cameron.
Well, hot hitting Derek Dietrich. He's back. Nice job there, staying inside the baseball after losing the bat. Good swing. I don't think I've ever seen the thumb guard come flying off an individual. That's how hard his pass was at the first pitch.
We've seen bats obviously go flying, helmets fly off, but never the thumb guard.
Right.
So here's Cameron Maben. See if the Marlins can do something with this leadoff base hit. They were unable to do anything with a leadoff double in the 2nd inning. They have 3 hits this afternoon. One from Anderson, one from Castro in the 1st, and then one from Dietrich here in the 5th. He went around, a ball and a strike. Maybe in the start in right field this afternoon. Most of his starts have been against the lefties. In fact, 31 starts this season for him. He's got 25 hits in those starts. And a 3-hit game in San Diego a few days ago. One away in the 5th. That's the 4th strikeout for Cook.
There's been a common theme. He was trying early in the ball game to get the breaking ball, that dive pitch off the outside corner, to work. He's picked up a few strikeouts along the way. And Rojas, one of those strikeout victims, his first time up.
He had only 4 swinging strikes in his last outing, did Cook. He has 8 swinging strikes here this afternoon. One of which was strike 3 to Rojas back in the 2nd inning. Trick away from first. The pitch to Rojas is chopped to second base. Descalso takes it himself, and that's a double play. Midway through this one here at Chase Field, the Marlins and the Diamondbacks are scoreless. Take you back. Geico presents this day in Major League history. On this date last year, Edinson Volquez no hit the Arizona Diamondbacks at Marlins Park. Despite the fact he got a little banged up early on, but 10 strikeouts, 98 pitches for Edinson Volquez.
Well, there are 2 storylines in that game. That was the first play of the game. Many of us thought Edinson may come out. Wasn't sure about the stability of his leg. Later went on to explain that that play right there slowed him down a little bit. Sometimes you come out to a ball game, you're a little amped up. Base hit into right field. Second hit of the day for the Diamondbacks. And here's what ultimately ends up playing out. So you get to the end of the ball game, and he was running on some fumes, as you mentioned, the 98 pitches. Of course, he kind of was dealing with the ankle thing just a little bit. Went to this changeup almost exclusively, which had been a pitch he'd used a little bit, but it became a huge weapon in the last 3 innings. And you get the no-hitter.
Well, it's me. I mean, you talk about in-game adjustments all the time, right? And you talk about game plans, like the pre-game game plans. And one can imagine, as you tell that story, I'm thinking, well, the D-backs are thinking maybe we won't see a lot of changeups today. And then all of a sudden, here's an avalanche of changeups, and they're just not ready.
Well, and they almost became determined to hit it. And that was the one thing that I think really helped his cause, that the Diamondbacks that afternoon got more aggressive on the changeup. It was almost like, all right, you keep throwing it. We know it's coming. Somebody's going to get a hit against it. And as you saw the last pitch of the ball game, which was again another outstanding changeup at about 84 miles an hour, no chance of hitting it when it's in the dirt.
Not a lot of hits on either side. Marlins have 3, Diamondbacks have 2 here in the bottom of the 5th inning, as that one is low to Gerard Dyson, who made a bid for a hit back in the 3rd inning to the left of Starlin Castro, ranging onto the outfield grass to make the play and the throw. Now here we are in the bottom of the 5th. Again, these are the types of games that the Marlins want to play. Some might even say need to play. These low-scoring affairs where the starting pitcher, as Straley is doing today, keeps the team in the ball game. Tom Mattingly mentioned before the game, this is kind of how we've got to do it. We can stay in the game, then we can scratch some runs across. But it's when we fall behind, as they had in the first 2 games of this series, that they just can't string that many hits together. Can't get down by 5 and think you're a big inning away from getting back in the ball game. The Marlins just haven't shown that they can do that on a consistent basis. One outside, and the 3rd walk this afternoon.
Now first 2 on here in the 5th gives Cook, I'm guessing, the opportunity to lay down a sacrifice bunt. I'm sure the Marlins will counter in the hopes of cutting down a few runners on the bases, as opposed to just giving up the mere sacrifice.
Anderson and Bohr in, as Bohr is just about on top of the hitter before Straley steps off.
Gave you a pretty good look at what the Marlins are attempting to do. Force Cook to lay down a perfect bunt in order to get the execution proper. Bohr racing in with the hopes of fielding it and throwing to 3rd.
He starts in about 5 or 6 feet in front of the cutout in front of first base. So try to get a full head of steam, field the bunt. See if the defense can execute here in the 5th.
And the responsibility here is Bohr. Really anything that he can get to with any kind of momentum going towards 3rd base. Dan Straley cleans up the 3rd baseline. Ryan Anderson stays at home. For Cook, what he's trying to do is bunt the ball to the 3rd base side hard. Try to force Anderson to field the bunt. So if you can get Anderson off 3rd base, there's obviously nobody covering the bag.
Well, now the other thing is got to throw strikes so that they can bunt. Otherwise, it's a free base. It's 2-0 right now. With Descalso on deck. 3-0.
And sometimes what happens is you box yourself into a corner trying to make perfect pitches. In some regards, You speak to what this Marlins team is going through in these situations. We've talked about it, scoreless ball games. I'm sure Dan Straley's feeling the heat that the offense isn't scoring a whole lot right now. He's trying to be perfect. Well, that's going to load the bases for the top of this lineup. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Descalso. He's got a walk and a strikeout in this ball game, but one of the more dangerous hitters in this Diamondbacks lineup, particularly against the right-handed pitching of the Marlins.
Straley only surrendered 3 base runners in the first 4 innings. He's got 3 men on right now and nobody out. Descalso, 8 hits with runners in scoring position, 3 of which home runs. 1 career grand slam. Ahmed, Dyson, Cook, the runners third to first. Popped up, but that'll reach the seats. 0-1.
Well, one thing Dan Straley has been a master of this season, wiggling out of jams. He's gotten himself into a few different spots this season, and he's been able to make some pitches. All right, change-up slider right out of the gate to Descalso. Runners in scoring position against Straley, 160.
DeBoer at first. They'll have the 1 play at first, and the Diamondbacks have a 1-0 lead.
Well, an incredibly productive out for Descalso. Gets the run across the first run of the ball game for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but was able to move up both base runners. No double play. It's merely an out at first base.
And that'll bring up Paul Goldschmidt. Terrific speed on at third, so Real Muto will have to be on top of anything in the dirt. Doesn't have to get far away for Dyson to come in and score. It's a ball to no strikes to Goldschmidt.
Well, the one side of the plate, the one lane that we've seen Goldschmidt struggle with a bit in this series, really that outside lane against the righties. See JT Real Muto staying out there almost exclusively. It's almost the same reaction that we've seen really all series long. A little leaky on the front shoulder side, not really certain about where his swing is at. I really don't expect Dan Straley to move off of that.
Adam Conley, the lefty, loosening. Now 3-1. Now there is of course a base open. That would set up a double play, but still careful with Goldschmidt here.
Absolutely. Well, you just stay on that outer third. That's all you're setting up. You get a forced at any base if you end up walking him. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, Dan Straley wasn't going to make a mistake to Paul Goldschmidt. Lamb, a strikeout victim his last time up, so he was able to make some pitches to Lamb and get the said result.
hits, now 5 walks this afternoon for Straley. The Diamondbacks only up a run as Real Muto is going to go out and talk with his pitcher. Crucial spot in this ball game. A ground ball could possibly stop it at a 1-run inning. But Don Mattingly is going to come out. And it looks like make a double switch. As JT Riddle is out. And it looks like Miguel Rojas is heading to the bench, and we'll see Adam Conley in this Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. For Miguel Rojas, who is out with the double switch, and in to pitch is Adam Conley. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. It's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has over 70 unique scratch-off games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Again, Riddle in at short. And Adam Conley in. Final line. Well, it's not final just yet, as all 3 runners belong to Dan Straley. 4 1/3, 2 hits, 5 walks. And now Conley, again, a pitch from getting out of this inning. So he'll go the lefty-lefty here with Conley against Lamb. And the base is loaded. Dyson at third, Cook the runner at second, and Goldschmidt at first. A run in on a ground out. RBI ground out for Descalso. The righty-lefty splits for Jake Lamb, and you see why it's Conley in the game right now.
Yeah, certainly makes some sense. In fact, did not start yesterday against Caleb Smith. I'll tell you what, the new and improved Adam Conley is featuring a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, improving slider and changeup as well. He still throws very, very hard. This was the matchup you're working towards. But no wiggle room for Conley. Bases loaded. Lamb in the box. He's 3 for 9 against lefties this season. Very small sample size. Conley wants a fastball. In fact, he just told JT he wants one.
Just 3 hits and 1 walk in 4 1/3 innings with 6 strikeouts. Slap to Anderson, comes home to get 1, throw to first.
Oh yeah,
got him. Excellent job by the defense. Anderson, who hasn't played much third in the last few weeks, comes up, throws a strike to Real Muto, who does the same over to first. And that is the ground ball the Marlins needed. They trail it 1-0.
All military by sharing a photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
A 1-0 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Don Mattingly making the change, going to Adam Conley, who gets the double play, a huge 2 outs.
Well, let's factor in a 2-1 count. You got Lamb thinking to be a very, very aggressive, good fastball down in the zone, gets the ground ball. Anderson, nice job getting out of his position. Watch this. Come get the baseball. Strong throw to JT, who shows us some pop time. How about pop time to first? Well done. Huge, huge play in this ball game.
You know, Straley appreciates it. His line now complete, 4 1/3, 2 hits, a run, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts as Conley gets the job done. And a nice job for Anderson, too, because he didn't bury the throw home. It was a high throw that almost led Realmuto right to first to get that return throw for the 2nd out.
Absolutely fantastic. You're right, and I think the best point about it is he hasn't been playing a whole lot of third base. I mean, to just kind of do what he did. To be honest, I was thinking they're going to get 1 here, and they turned it into 2.
Nice job all around. So it's a 1-run deficit as we go to the 6th. Lewis Brinson takes ball 1. Brinson, then JT Riddle in as part of the double switch, and Starlin Castro. So you give up a run in that inning, but take me inside that dugout. What are the emotions in the dugout after that big double play?
Well, it's a victory. I mean, that's just it. I mean, you certainly felt. I mean, the numbers tell you. You got the bases loaded. You've got less than 2 outs. You're thinking, you know, the team's percentage-wise scoring some runs. You're chasing once again. Well, there's already 1 run on the board, but you kept the damage to a minimum. Whether you're 1 up or 1 down, and we talked about this when the Marlins missed their opportunity to score a run early. You're in this game. So great move by Don Mattingly and the staff. Made some changes even here in the 5th or the last inning.
Sharply hit to 3rd. Spinning and throwing is Lamb. A nice play to retire Brinson, 1 out. There's JT Riddle now, hitting in the 9 spot after the double switch. The home run came in San Diego, and inside the park home run. But the hits have been coming slowly but surely. 6 for 19 on the road trip. That's a .316 average. Overall thoughts on Dan Straley this afternoon, who gave up the 2 hits. Not bad, but the 5 walks, probably would have liked to clean those up.
Right. And he came out aggressive. I thought he looked really, really good early on. Again, there was some moments there where he was making some pitches off the plate. You know, maybe you target that at bat against Cook, the pitcher, in the 5th, and maybe that gets him another inning. And ultimately made a mess, was able to get out of it. Look at the first inning. No damage, no damage.
Found a nice weapon in that man right there, Adam Conley. He's found a little uptick on the velocity. It's made him a lot more effective as of late. And again for the Marlins, with Harlan Garcia sent back down to AAA earlier this morning, the only lefty out of the bullpen. But more than just a lefty specialist, although he did get the lefty lamb. Well, Cook has had some ups and some downs this season, but this one has been an up to this point as Riddle fights that one off to stay alive. He gave up 11 hits and 5 runs in his last outing, but 3 hits and 1 run in the outing prior to that. 9 hits, 8 runs a couple of starts ago. 8 innings, 3 runs before that. So it's, talk about some starting pitcher the other day in your scouting report, consistently inconsistent. Cook's kind of been that guy right now for the Diamondbacks. It will be a 2-2 to Riddle. Swung on and missed, the 5th strikeout today for Cook.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
Now the Marlins have lengthened some of these at bats, but speaking on the totality of everything that we've seen, not really able to break through against Cook. He's picked up a few more strikeouts than I would have anticipated. There were some very clear splits that favored the Marlins. Unable to take advantage of those splits just yet.
Oh, 2 now to Castro. 5 strikeouts for Cook, a season high. And came over from the New York Mets back in late August of 2015. Part of the Addison Reed deal. His 3rd full season in the Diamondbacks organization, formerly a 3rd round pick back in 2012 out of the University of Louisville. In a bit of a banged up rotation now for Torey Lovullo and the Diamondbacks. No Taijuan Walker, Tommy John surgery for him. Robbie Ray working his way back from an oblique injury. And the D-backs also without some of their big offensive pieces as well. A.J. Pollock, Steven Souza on the disabled list. Hoping to get Randall Delgado back at some point soon. He's got an oblique issue. Shelby Miller. Maybe another rehab start or 2 before he's back. As Castro swings and misses. Couple of strikeouts in the 6th. A 1-2-3 inning for Cook. Marlins down 1-0. Marlins down 1-0 as we wrap up this 3-game series inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth with you. Well, it's nice to see kind of a low-scoring affair, a nip-and-tuck battle to this point, but the Marlins need to break through for runs.
Well, I'll tell you what, the defense has showed up for the most part today. There's been a couple plays that have been big in this ballgame. The starting pitching, okay, Dan Straley, a huge out by Adam Conley. He's back out on the mound, but again, the offense, we've really just got to hone in on the offense coming around, and right now, you know, you start to get to that point where you start to feel a little desperate offensively, and it's not going to be one swing in the bat that is going to win this ball game today. It's going to have to be a few good at bats in a row.
But at the same token, these are the games as Anderson bobbles that one and John Ryan Murphy reaches. It's going to be an E5. These are the games that the Marlins, I guess, in a way feel comfortable. These games where they're still in it late. Another look here at the play over at third.
Well, Anderson does a nice job ranging to his left. 3-4 steps away from where he started. Bobbles the ball on the transfer and ends up with the error.
So now 1 on and nobody out for David Peralta. He takes a called strike. The Diamondbacks had the leadoff man on in the 5th inning. And 3 walks help them out in that inning. Maybe a double play here. It is. Well, Conley's thrown what, like 8 pitches. He's gotten 2 double play balls. That's maximizing the pitch count.
Well, he's bringing the express and he's going right at hitters. I mean, that's part of what he's doing. I mean, even some of the predictable counts. You go back to the Lamb at bat. It was a 2-1 fastball. I mean, there was really no surprise. I mean, he's coming at you. There's no messing around. He's throwing hard. You know, usually you're talking about some element of game planning, strategizing your slider, or even where your changeup's going to fit into the sequence. And so far, he's thrown nothing but fastballs. But it's also a great example of what the Marlins believe in Adam Conley, and I think he's really starting to believe about himself right now. You know, in these little one inning plus outings that he's providing out of the bullpen, his velocity is spiked 4 miles an hour from where it traditionally is. I mean, look at the reaction to hitters. I mean, I think that's a clear-cut example right there. At 97 at the top of the zone, you're getting a lot of check swings, and guys are hesitating just a bit because his fastball is overpowering.
Well, Skipper talked about that a few days ago, just about it. He likened it, obviously Don Mattingly was a first baseman, was a hitter, not much of a pitcher obviously, but he likened it to hitting where you're not getting forward. You're not that weight shift, and that's what they've liked from Conley, is that he's getting forward, and maybe that's where the uptick in velocity has come from. And his top and bottom half are kind of in sync now.
Well, I'll tell you what's in sync is the radar gun. Because all I'm seeing is 96 out of his hand just about every time he grips a fastball. So that's been the game plan so far. Continue to talk about the development of that slider and changeup. I'd like to see it come along. It would make him a true late inning weapon. Oh, with that changeup. He did throw it.
I think that'll play. He gives up the runner on the error, but the double play and then the strikeout. We roll along to the 7th here at Chase Field. A low-scoring affair moves to the top of the 7th inning. 1-0 the score as the Diamondbacks are on top going to the top of the 7th inning. JT Realmuto, Justin Bour, Brian Anderson due up as Realmuto offers it the first pitch and lifts it out to right field and into the glove of Chris Owings. 1 pitch, 1 out. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, Justin Bour has had a lot of memorable hits, but his favorite at-bat actually happened here at Chase Field. It was June of 2016. JB coming off the bench to face Tyler Clippard in a bases-loaded situation, and he delivered a pinch-hit grand slam that would tie the game at 5 apiece. The Marlins would go on to win it by a final of 8-6, thanks in large part to that pinch-hit grand slam by Justin Bour.
Well, he's got 3 pinch hit home runs this year. How about that? But still, I'm not gonna do what you've been begging me to do for the last 3 weeks and say, hey JB, why don't you take yourself out of the lineup more often so you can pinch hit. I'm not doing it. Out to center field, Dyson drifting back onto the track. 2 away. 2 loud outs, or at least deep outs, here in the 7th inning. As Matt Cook is approaching 80 pitches. He has surrendered just the 3 hits today. A leadoff base hit in the 1st inning for Castro, a leadoff double in the 2nd inning for Brian Anderson, and a leadoff single for Dietrich in the 5th. That has kind of been the theme, the leadoff hits but not able to come around to score. Multi-hit games, however. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Brian Anderson had a couple of hits yesterday. The 2-0 pitch to Anderson, swung on and missed. 2-1.
Cook has moved the fastball around. He's been a little braver to the inside part of the plate. The 3rd time through the lineup. Cook has gone 8 innings this year. This spot does come up in the bottom of the 7th. I'm not sure if one thing is connected or not. It is a 1-0 Diamondbacks lead for now.
Chopped to short. Dug out by Goldschmidt. And a 1-2-3 7th. Still 1-0.
in baseball.
You gotta be there for their pitching staff.
Your job is to help them and to mold them.
It's a selfless role.
Being the leader is the most crucial thing to being a catcher. Guys have to be able to look up to you and look at not just the way you play the game, but how you go about your work.
A leader in pop time in MLB.
Cannot ask for a better throw from JT Realmuto, one away. What a weapon.
I'm begging him to run.
It's almost like, please go, try to run on me.
He's more dangerous with a bat in his hand.
Welcome back, JT Realmuto.
A national record holder.
He made difficult plays look routine.
Born to lead.
He's the kind of fighter that you want around you. And you talk about respect.
If we had to go to combat, he'd be the first guy picked.
A fighter for kids.
He was given a gift that he needs to do something with his life.
Just being out there playing the games reminds me of being 8 years old, and just the excitement I get before every game, the little butterflies that get in my stomach, you know, that'll never get old.
And you can see that in its entirety inside the Marlins. JT Realmuto unmasked, as that is coming up after our Marlins Live post-game show. Right now a 1-0 deficit for JT and the Marlins as we go to the last of the 7th inning. Adam Conley still out there. He'll face Nick Ahmed, Gerard Dyson, and right now the pitcher spot Matt Cook, but we'll see if he stays in the ball game. Adam Conley, however, does stay in the ball game. He got the last 2 outs of the 5th inning on a double play ball, and then got a double play ball in the 6th inning as well. The first pitch to Ahmed is fouled right back to the screen. 0-1. Ahmed, a single and a run scored in the 5th inning. As Torey Lovello talks with his pitcher Matt Cook, who I would imagine he is very impressed with how he has pitched this afternoon. Surrendering 3 Marlins hits. There's been some ups and downs, but this one of the ups. He's had 13 swings and misses today. A swing and a miss for Conley, leads to out number 1.
Yeah, back-to-back strikeouts on the changeup. Celebrate our 25th anniversary weekend with an exclusive teal Life Brand t-shirt commemorating Marlins history. For just $20, you'll get our limited edition shirt and a game ticket for June 8th. Visit marlins.com/offers today.
Conley and Anderson having a little conversation, perhaps talking bunt defense. But no square there by Dyson. Anderson is in on the grass at 3rd in a 1-run game. Terrific wheels by Dyson, or for Dyson, one of the fastest players in baseball. Two hits today for the D-backs.
Tell you what, to a left-handed hitter, that's almost an unhittable pitch. Factor in Conley's mechanics, where he's releasing the baseball and the velocity. There's not much a lefty will do if he can hit that outside corner.
Nice on, Dyson, keep it up.
Inside, and Dyson works the walk. You got to keep a close eye on Dyson over at first base. As I mentioned, he has a ton of wheels. One of 3 players in Major League Baseball with 20 or more steals in every season since 2012. Elvis Andrus, Jose Altuve, the others, as Ketel Marte will come in and pinch hit for Matt Cook. To right center field, and that's going to get down for a base hit. Dyson on his way to 3rd. He's being waved, and now he's being held up. It's a double off the bench for Ketel Marte and the Diamondbacks. have a couple of runners in scoring position with one out.
Well, Marte has been an extra base machine this entire series. My goodness gracious, one pitch today. One pitch up. Conley really only made one mistake. This gets turned around. How about it? Finds the gap. Watch Marte. No hesitation around first base.
So now back to the top of the order for Daniel Descalso, who's driven in the only run of this ball game. An RBI ground out in the 5th inning. And again, Marte with the double right there. A couple of home runs the other night. Also a triple mixed in. Infield in as Descalso takes outside. D-backs as a club 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Of course, they also hit into a double play earlier. That was in that 5th inning when they scored their only run, but set up nicely here. Conley's going to try to work around this as he delivers a strike on the outside corner, 1-1.
Yeah, I mentioned that corner. Conley finds it 3 times. I think he'll get the desired result. Let's see if JT, yeah, he's just kind of sitting out there exclusively.
Now 3-1 with Paul Goldschmidt on deck. Out to center field. Brinson racing back on the track, and that one's over his head. That's going to score 2. On his way to third is Descalso in there with a 2 RBI triple.
Well, Descalso got himself into a hitter's count and got a fastball that he could handle just a bit more. A lot of uncertainty in center field right here from Brinson, almost as if he thought he was at the wall. He was merely at the edge of the warning track. That should have been a sacrifice fly. It looks as though it's going to go for a 2-run triple.
It's actually ruled an error, but end of the day, it's still a 3-0 deficit. Florida Lottery called the bullpen. Welcome back. Drew Steckenrider into the ball game. His first offering to Paul Goldschmidt, fouled back to the screen. The Florida Lottery called to the bullpen with 2 runs home on what is ruled a sacrifice fly and an RBI for Descalso. It also goes as an error on Lewis Brinson, but again, that's all bookkeeping. At the end of the day, the Marlins find themselves down 3-0. Infield in. Right to Castro, who's coming home and out at the plate.
Nice job by all parties involved. Castro waited just a tick to see if he was going to go. Almost a delay. Watch him kind of peek and then come up firing. Watch JT. He's got to be quick too. It's a nice job of getting there.
So 2 outs and a runner on for Jake Lamb. Lamb takes upstairs. It was Lamb who grounded into that 5-2-3 double play to end the 5th inning when Adam Conley came on. And now Steckenrider misses outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Three and one.
Steckenrider has been very good over his last 5 appearances, all scoreless. That pitched a scoreless inning last night. 3 strikeouts over his last 2 innings. MLB At Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Marlins home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
First pitch to John Ryan Murphy is fouled up and back into the seats. 0-1. Murphy today is 0 for 3.
Yeah, I think we're all sensing it here in the bottom of the 7th inning. A lot of times what happens to teams when the offense doesn't run right, when you're not scoring runs, when you're trying to play perfect baseball, it kind of creates a sense of desperation.
To right, Maben is there to make the catch. But the Diamondbacks score 2 big runs here in the 7th and now lead it 3-0. Hollingsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you here as the Marlins and Diamondbacks wrap up a 3-game series. A 3-0 deficit right now as we move to the top of the 8th inning. Glad you're with us on this Sunday afternoon as the road trip continues, as Archie Bradley comes in out of the bullpen after 7 really strong innings from Matt Cook. 28th game this year for him, a 2.70 ERA and an opponent batting average well south of 200.
Well, Archie Bradley having another outstanding season. 2.70 ERA, pitching in game number 28. Dominant stuff. He's got a big fastball, 97, 98 miles an hour. He's an animated, lively personality. He's got a big over the top, I should say, 12-6 curveball that he will throw at times. Like right there.
A strike to Derek Dietrich to lead things off. Dietrich, Maven, and then likely a pinch hitter. Would have been Miguel Rojas, but he was lifted as part of a double switch earlier in this ball game, as it is 0-2 to Dietrich. Got a piece, still 0-2. Archie Bradley, originally a 7th overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2011. It was the same year that Garrett Cole went number 1, Trevor Bauer went number 3. Dietrich to left and falling fast, but into the glove of David Peralta. A sliding catch.
Wow, what an effort from Peralta. My goodness. His speed was on display. Didn't get the best of reads. A little slow to start, but accelerated through this catch. It's our fresh catch of the day. Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the day. And why not? Incredible effort out in right field. One thing this Diamondbacks team has been all season long, good defensively.
Now 1 out for Cameron Maben. Out to center. Dyson's got a beat on it, 2 away. And now J.B. Shuck will come in off the bench.
Pitch hitting for Drew Steckenrider.
Would have been the pitcher spot with the double switch, so it's Shuck here in the 8th.
Well, you mentioned Archie Bradley and a little bit of his journey there at the beginning. I think this is kind of a little eye-opener maybe for Conley. If you think about it, Archie Bradley, a failed starter. I mean, I use the word fail. I generally don't like to do that, but that's kind of the story. I mean, you see what he's become as the 8th inning guy here in Arizona. His career has blossomed. He's become not just a local personality, a national personality with the beard and everything.
Right.
Kind of, I mean, really kind of capitalizing on, you know, a change in roles. I could see this possibly being the same path for Conley. Why not? He's got a big arm, 96, 97 miles an hour. We never saw that from him in the starting rotation, so. What Archie Bradley has in beard, Conley has in haircut. How about that?
They're, yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like minds.
Right.
Kind of.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Bradley issues the walk to Shuck with 2 outs here in the 8th. All right, you waited this long, and it's time now for the showstopper. They're at it again. The Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. Charlie Culberson now.
Again?
With a walk-off winner. Boy, what a series that has been. Those two teams going back and forth in the early part of June atop the National League East.
I'm almost positive Culberson had a walk-off homer on this homestand, or at least in the last week or so. I believe that's his second walk-off.
I know Camargo had one the other night.
I'm pretty sure about Culberson.
You might be
right.
If
I remember correctly, there was a bunch of runners on base, and I thought, well, Culberson got an opportunity and came through in a big spot. Did it again.
1 on and 2 out for Lewis Brinson. Brinson to the gap in right center field, and that one is going to get down. And it one hops over the wall. And Shuck comes all the way around, but he is going to have to retreat back to third base. Now for Brinson, who has had a rough day in the outfield, comes up with a big hit here in the top of the 8th to bring the tying run to the plate with 2 outs.
Well, this is an unfortunate set of circumstances. No, not the swing. Great swing from Brinson. Nice job going the other way. It's that this ball bounces off the field of play. The Marlins scratching and clawing for any kind of offensive production right now. Had a run basically taken off the board. It hits the pad there. Shuck scores easily.
Yep. He had the home run last night. That snapped a string of 42 at-bats without an extra base hit. And now Brinson with an extra base hit in back-to-back games. And now it's JT Riddle. A chance here to get on the board with 2 in scoring position. Must have just caught the black. 1-1.
Just to kind of clean up my my storytelling there. It was, just Monday. Culberson had a walk-off. There you go. 528.
And Camargo had one. So the moral of the story is the Braves have been playing some exciting baseball as of late. In first place in the National League East. And proving to many that they are for real at this point. A game and a half clear of the Washington Nationals. Riddle strikes out, and the inning is over. Marlins strand 2. We go to the last of the 8th. 3-0. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson cleaning up after themselves. Look at that. Fantastic. Look at that. Very jovial, very polite individuals as they get set for the WB Mason Marlins Live post-game show, which is coming up right after this one. We'll hear from Don Mattingly. Neat and tidy. That's why we like him. Cameron Maben moves over from right to center field. And J.B. Shuck stays in the game. He'll play right field. Brinson's day is done as Teheran Guerrero into the ball game as part of the double switch. And his first pitch is fouled away by David Peralta. Peralta, Owings, and Ahmed against Guerrero, who's in his 29th game this season. Driven to left. Gone. Home runs in all 3 games in the series for David Peralta. It's 4-0.
Well, 10th home run of the season for Peralta. He got on top of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, stayed inside of it, and just touched it off. Well, hitters talk. I'll give you a little. You don't have to swing hard at velocity. You swing easy and let the velocity take care of the ball flight. You got a pretty good example right there of what Peralta just did. 2 home runs the other way in this series for Peralta. Let's take another look. That's an elevated fastball at the letters. It's merely getting the barrel to the spot. A lot of times the velocity will carry it right out.
Like in a general sense, you're not supposed to be able to do that, right?
Well, it all depends. Again, he doesn't have to work hard to do this. I mean, I'll explain it to you this way. It's a lot harder for a hitter to generate power against a knuckleball than it is somebody throwing 98 to 100. But the key is getting to the spot first. That's what's harder to do, is to get your barrel to that spot. And a pitch that's elevated, well, listen, the ball's already up in the zone, so it naturally flights itself because it's up above the waist. If you get the barrel there and you get it out in front, what happens a lot of times is hitters are late, so you see a foul ball. But if you get it out in front, you get home runs the other way like that.
Three balls and no strikes to Chris Owings. And a 4-pitch walk. It's time now for the Coors Banquet Timeless Moment. As we take you back to this date in 1932, Lou Gehrig, 4 home runs. Tony Lazzeri hit for the cycle. Yankees beat the Philadelphia A's by a touchdown. 41 extra base hits in that ball game. The Iron Horse, 4 homers. Speaking of home runs, there have been a lot in this series for the Arizona Diamondbacks as their offense has come to life. They have 1 in this game, so that's 15 in their last 7 games. They had 14 home runs in their previous 20. One on, nobody out for Nick Ahmed. Lines it to Shuck in right, and a shoestring catch. Nope, couldn't come up with it.
Well, Shuck had a hard time reading this off the bat. Marlins outfielders in this series have had some issues. He's kind of anticipating the ball getting to his spot. This ball falling fast, doesn't really get to the spot. A lot of that has to do with the read. Ends up having to go to the backhand just off the top of the grass.
So it's a hit for Ahmed, and there are 2 on for Gerard Dyson.
Guerrero is going to have to find a way to work down in the strike zone. Some of the damage he's given up lately is because of the elevation. His pitch is 98 at the waist. You saw JT on the target there. He was looking for low and away. That was way up and down the middle of the plate.
There's a strike. Guerrero's worked basically every other day. Today's June 3rd. He worked June 1st. And he worked the day prior to that, but then day off in between outings, his last 3. Corners are in against Dyson, who takes ball 3. Marlins will have the top of the order due up in the 9th inning. Line to center. Maben. That's the first out. They have made some solid contact against Guerrero in this inning. Here is Ketel Marte, who had the double in the 7th inning. And the D-backs tacked on 2 more.
Now Marte, really one of the struggling Diamondbacks until this series.
Runners go, and they both get an extra 90 feet.
Now that is on Guerrero, no doubt about it. Watch the jumps even from the center field camera. You can see the breaks both at or farther than halfway to the next base before Guerrero released the pitch.
So the infield in. 1-1. Alex Avila has moved into the on-deck circle for the Diamondbacks. But the focus right now on Ketel Marte. That one gets away from Real Muto. And it's 5-0. First 2 games, the story was the early runs for the Diamondbacks. Today, it's been the late runs. 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, 2 so far here in the 8th. That one lined foul. No advance on that one as the count runs full. Drew Rucinski, who was recalled this morning, is up. Brad Boxberger, their closer, was up, but now it's Barrett up for the Diamondbacks. Arizona again has tacked on 2 more here in the 8th. 3-2 pitch. Through a drawn in infield, and with Dietrich playing in, that one's going to roll all the way to the track. Marte on his way to 3rd. Here comes the throw, not in time.
Yeah, we've said extra base machine all series long. We see it again there. Dietrich playing shallow and in towards the line, thinking that Marte more likely to flare something with the velocity of Guerrero. He squares it up on a fastball away, drives it through the left side. think traditionally, right? If you were just playing straight up, that's a ground ball at your shortstop. Dietrich ends up chasing that all the way to the warning track, and Marte picks up his second triple of the series.
He slid in sideways right there. That was,
well, he was low flying.
you're right.
It's like an airplane trying to land in wind.
He's got 5 hits this series, 2 doubles. Check that, 2 triples, 2 homers, and a double. As they appeal whether or not he touched second base, he did, and we play on. It's been a story of late runs and the bottom of the order for the Diamondbacks. That's where most of the damage, or all of the damage, has come from. They're 1 through 4 hitters, 0 for 11. But Marte with a couple of big hits off the bench. Their number 5 hitter David Peralta with a home run in this inning. As we get our first look at Alex Avila.
Avila, born in Hialeah, Florida, first at bat this series. Guerrero seems like he's throwing harder as this inning has gone on. We saw 97, 98 when he came out. A few times we've seen the 101. Here later in his outing.
Marlins again play the infield in with 3 on the right side against the lefty Avila. As Holly mentioned, born in Hialeah, drafted out of Archbishop McCarthy High School in Southwest Ranches, Florida, and signed a 2-year $8.25 million deal with the D-backs this offseason. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
Nice job by Guerrero dialing up at the top of the zone, showing no signs of being able to handle 100 miles an hour that high.
It's going to be a Florida Lottery call to the bullpen, as we'll see Drew Rucinski in a 6-0 ball game. As we'll get our first look here in 2018, at least in the regular season, of Marcell Ozuna and the St. Louis Cardinals. Saw him a lot in the spring, sharing a complex in Jupiter, but off to St. Louis Tuesday's game is on FS1. Games 2 and 3 of that series back on Fox Sports Florida. You can check your local listings for that. The starters on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on FS1. Jose Urena in search of win number 1 this season against Carlos Martinez, who figures to be fresh off the DL at that point, along with Yadier Molina. That one is upstairs. Again, if you missed it before, Harlan Garcia sent down to AAA. Drew Ruchinski called up. So our first look at Ruchinski.
Well, he's been on a roll. 14 games with NOLA. 2.52 ERA.
Pops this one up into right field. J.B. Shuck will put it away. So a couple of pitches, he gets Goldschmidt. But it's a 6-0 deficit going to the ninth. Southwest Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. The Grand Canyon, not far from where we are right now in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's a little over 100 degrees outside, but fortunately the roof is closed here inside Chase Field. We go to the top of the ninth inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson with us as well. They are gearing up for the Marlins Live postgame show. Coming up after this one, Jake Barrett takes over, pitching in his second game this season, called up from AAA Reno a couple of days ago. And he will face the top third of the Marlins order: Castro, Realmuto, and Bohr.
So far here this season, 1 inning, 8 pitches, 4 fastballs, 4 sliders. He throws hard. 93 to 96.
A hit in the first inning for Starlin Castro to extend his hit streak to 6 games. He takes the ball inside, 2-0. A game today that was rather close through the first 6 innings. 1-0 Diamondbacks, but then they scored 2 in the bottom of the 7th, 3 in the bottom of the 8th to open it up. As they look to be in position to win their 5th in 6 games.
Castro base hit in the first. Walk here in the 9th.
Catcher, JT Realmuto.
Well, the Marlins have had the leadoff man on in the first, in the second, in the 5th, and now here in the 9th inning. And now it's a 6-0 ball game, but earlier They had opportunities but couldn't move the runners along. Again, after our Marlins Live post-game coverage, Unmasked inside the Marlins, a feature on JT Realmuto. All the way from a youngster in Oklahoma to an all-star caliber catcher and a big part of the Miami community. That's coming up after Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson wrap this one up. 0-2.
Starlin Castro out of the leadoff spot, moved up there at the beginning of the series, got on base 5 times. Some production from the top spot. Don Mattingly has at times tried to shake this lineup up just to get some production going. Between JT and Starlin Castro, you've got some versatility, so he's moved him around the lineup a few different times, trying to get the right combination going.
That's kind of been one of the struggles, is like figuring out who's the guy that's going to lead off for this club. We've seen a bunch of different guys in that spot. JT Realmuto was there for a week or so. Martin Prado was there before he got hurt, and it seemed as though right as he was starting to heat up, he goes down with the hamstring injury. So now it's back to square one. But you make a good point that perhaps Castro can be that guy.
Well, I'm not sure that it necessarily is really about the leadoff spot, the guy in that spot. We've seen certainly a number of guys succeed in the spot, but I think it's the other spots in the lineup really kind of honing in on the totality of the lineup. Really, when you think about it, they've struggled in a lot of other spots. Sometimes you take your hot hitter in one spot and move him somewhere else.
Chop to third. They get Castro. No return throw on the fielder's choice.
First baseman, Justin Ford.
Yeah, it's been a revolving door. Dietrich has started 21 games in the leadoff spot. Realmuto 11. Prado 9. Brinson 7. Rojas 5. Maben 2. Castro today was 3. Shuck once. One on, one out for Justin Bour.
Regardless of the outcome of today's game, a day off for this Marlins group could not come at a better time. Sometimes you go round and round trying to make adjustments, work harder, and this group tirelessly has been out early all trip long, trying to improve early work on the field, off the field, in the cages. Sometimes you have to get away from the game in order to refocus, kind of recenter, and get back at it.
Should be well rested for Tuesday night when Jose Urena takes the mound against the St. Louis Cardinals in the first of 3. Again, that one is on FS1. A 1-2 pitch to Bour. Fouled straight back.
Well, Barrett continues to work JB in on those hands. JB, one of the better hitters in the National League. If he can get those arms extended, he likes the ball middle away.
It was a game started by Matt Cook. Went the first 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, didn't walk anybody, 6 strikeouts. A career high. Board drives one out to center field. Dyson's back. And that one's off the wall. Real Muto is going to come around to score on a double by Bohr.
I'll tell you what, Barrett probably set himself up for this. This is a backup breaking ball. We told you about getting the arms extended, right? Well, when you stay in on a hitter enough and you continue to pound him with fastballs and he fouls him off, fouls him off, fouls him off, what do? You speed up his swing. And then you throw a breaking ball and JB is right on time. I think it hit about 3/4 of the way up the wall. It's below the yellow line. That yellow line, if he hits above it, would have been a home run. An RBI double here in the 9th.
And strike to Brian Anderson. The RBI for Justin Bohr, his 25th on the season. That now even with Anderson for tops on the club. His 5th double of the year. And it ensures that the Marlins will not get shut out. And now it's just a matter of keeping the rally going with 1 out in the 9th inning. And they've got the right bats in line right now with Anderson and Dietrich. Maben behind them. But Anderson down in the count 0-2. Out to right field, a long run in, and diving to make the play in right field, Chris Owings.
Yeah, we have seen 2 spectacular catches from the Diamondbacks outfielders in today's ball game. Peralta just a little while ago, and this one. To see the speed of Owings on display, I thought that was a base hit, no doubt off the bat. My goodness. Cuts it, catches it flush in the pocket.
Well, for the moment it's a catch, but Don Mattingly and company are going to want to take another look at this one. For the
ladies and gentlemen, the previous play is under video replay review. The call on the field is that the ball was caught for an out. Review the submission with the manager challenged by the Miami.
Looked like it, for as big as the outfielder's gloves usually are, it looked like that was kind of caught in the palm of the glove.
Oh, there's no doubt it was. The question is, does the ball touch the grass while he's securing the catch? And that was not enough evidence, at least for me. And believe me, I'm handicapping myself here. I'm not very good at this year on making the call. You know, initially, you see it right off the top. He looked like he made the catch. You didn't see the ball clearly hit the ground and bounce into his glove. But the question is, does the ball hit his glove as he's squeezing it, turn over, and hit the ground?
And this is one of those situations where you might as well give it a shot.
Absolutely.
Because if it gets overturned, well, now you've got 2 on and 1 out. And if not, you're down 5 with 2 outs in the 9th inning. But again, as it stands right now, Chris Owings has made a spectacular catch out in right field for the 2nd out here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, what's so difficult to see is really where the end of his glove, the two fingers, your pinky finger, the finger right next to it, where those fingers are on the glove. Are they flush to the ground or are they underneath the baseball?
And Owings is a guy who has kind of bounced around the diamond a little bit for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 32 appearances in right field this year. Today's his 33rd. 7 at second base, 4 in center, 2 in left, 1 at third. Kind of have a good problem to have if you're the Diamondbacks. The glut of infielders, middle infielder types, with guys like Ahmed and Lamb and Marte and Descalso. Moved Owings out to right field, and I will say this, this has taken a long time.
That's taking more time than Castro's ball last night, which we all know was a home run.
The other question is, where do you put the runners? I figure if it falls in, then Bohr would get third, right? The
that would be my guess. I think that BA would get first and Bohr would get third base, with the idea that the ball was essentially trapped in the glove and that it was a base hit. The one thing about review that still entertains me is that everybody in the building still thinks it's on the umpires, and this is somebody not here in the building. It's in New York.
All right, so there you go. That must have been what they were trying to figure out, and why it had taken so long was, well, maybe not. I was going to say that they were going to try to figure out where Bohr, if Bohr is awarded third base in a sense, but he's still standing at second.
So we're convinced that there's enough evidence right there to overturn it. I'm still, we need to move on. I'm happy for BA. Get the base hit, go with it.
Castro.
Yeah, that's you know.
Dietrich, after a long delay, pops up the first pitch into left field, and that is out number 2.
You know, we compare the two plays last night to tonight, and you tell me there's more conclusive evidence on one than the other. I'm not buying it.
And the Marlins down to their last out. And it's Cameron Maben. Well, tell you what, a nice job by the replay staff with the Marlins. I wouldn't have even thought twice. I would have thought, hey, it's a great play. Okay, move on. And then they saw something, get the call overturned.
Oh, it's late in the game. I think that's the point there. You just roll the dice and you go for it. You're running out of outs. You're trying to get back into this ball game. Brian Anderson, another multi-hit ball game. So happy he gets the hit.
And the only thing that can slow down Miguel Andujar was another postponement for the New York Yankees. Andujar, the other rookie with 18 multi-hit games this season. 2 on, 2 outs, 2 balls and no strikes to Cameron Maben. Barrett's pitch into the seats, 2-1. Marlins down to their last strike.
Well, as advertised from Barrett, fastballs around the strike zone, 93-94, hard slider.
Adam played perfectly as Marte steps on the bag, and that's going to do it. The Arizona Diamondbacks with a 6-1 win, and the Marlins their 6th consecutive loss. But for Arizona, they have won 5 of 6 to stay atop the National League West. Marlins Live postgame show is coming up right after the break. Stick around.